Today's episode is sponsored by Memphis Unheard. You can share your unheard truths with Memphis Unheard at www.memphisunheard.com. Enjoy the show.
What's up, guys? It's your boy TJ, the host of Memphis Unheard. And guess what? I have a special guest in the house with me today. State Representative 96, Miss Gabby. How you doing, Miss Gabby?
Hi, thank you for having me, TJ.
Thanks for being here with me. Let's jump right into it. I want to ask you a little bit about your background and where you're from and things of that nature. You guys jump right into that and we'll get going.
Yeah, so I am originally not from Memphis, but I call Memphis my adoptive hometown because I grew up here in Memphis, and my family immigrated from Bolivia in 1996. So I've been here for a really long time. But the reason why my family came to Memphis was because I had cancer. Oh. And St. Jude is here. The crown jewel of pediatric cancer institutions is here, right here in Memphis, Tennessee. So my family, in a time of a lot of despair and a lot of hopelessness, found hope here in Memphis. And that's how my family arrived here. But a year into my treatment, and while we were here in Memphis, my family was involved in a really bad car accident. Okay. And in that car accident, my father passed away and my sister passed away. Condolences. And my mom was left in a wheelchair. Wow. And it was the Memphis community that said, "You're not going anywhere. We're going to make sure you're okay.
We got you. We're got you. Love on you. We're going to love on you." Man, you are strong. You most definitely are a strong woman. So we appreciate you sticking and stand here in Memphis. We know we hear a lot of bad things about Memphis, and for you to stay and come here and make Memphis your home means a whole lot to me in the community.
Yeah, well, I believe to whom much is given, much is expected, and Memphis has given so much to me and my family that it's my turn to give back and use all my talents that I have to make sure that Memphis is okay, just how they made sure that I was okay. Right.
Can you share a little bit more of your background and everything? But I want the people to get to know Miss Gabby.
Yeah. So growing up in the hospital, there was a lot going on. And I think I'm such a product of the times that I grew up in and the things that have happened to me. Right. Peter Doherty was a Nobel Prize winning scientist. He got the Nobel Prize the year that I came to St. Jude. Mm-hmm. And I was 7 years old. I didn't know what a Nobel Prize was, but I knew that he was getting so much attention. And everybody, when he would walk through the hallways, everybody would want to talk to him. Right. When he was in the cafeteria, people would go up to him and talk to him. I was like, that guy, he's a rock star. Right. I want to be like that.
Come on.
And so when I was going in the hospital and they would give me medicines, and I was like, well, what are you doing? How does that work? It's that, curiosity of like the 7-8-year-old that's like constantly.
I'm that way now.
I think that's great.
Right.
More people should be like that.
Right.
And that's what got me interested in science. And from that age, I just fell in love with science, and I knew I wanted to be a scientist. And I wanted to be in the room, finding those cures, finding what was going on, figuring out, using my brain to figure out solutions. And I just found it so fascinating. I thought it was like this amazing world that not very many people get to understand or work on. And that's how I saw it all the way growing up, because I was exposed to so many scientists and so many doctors and nurses and all the wonderful people that took care of me. So I went to Christian Brothers University here in Memphis. Okay. I got a bachelor's of science in biochemistry. Okay. And, at that time, a lot of people were saying, well, you need to go to the Ivy Leagues if you say you want to be this like top scientist. Right. And for me, there was two things that kind of kept me from doing that. One was that financially, my family, we couldn't afford going out of state and going to a fancy big dollar college. I'm also a twin, so we had two people in college at the same time. But I also got cancer. And I was, again, when I was a senior in high school. So the compromise was that I would stay in Memphis, and I decided to go to CBU. And let me tell you, I think you can get an amazing education here in Memphis, Tennessee, because I did go on to work at St. Jude on one of the top labs on a very important project. So, and there was a bunch of people in my lab from fancy schools, and then there was me from Memphis,
right?
And I'm very proud of that. So then after my BS, I got my master's in pharmaceutical sciences. So I worked in drug discovery, but the science aspect of it, I think that is obviously hard, right? You have to work at it, you have to study it, but oftentimes in my pursuit of trying to make my dreams come true, and and we're in a city of dreamers. Come on.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Martin Luther King.
Come on.
Danny Thomas, desegregating a hospital in the 60s, or not even desegregating, building a hospital that was not segregated.
There you go.
What a visionaries and dreamers. So while I was on my path to making my dreams come true here in Memphis, some of the biggest obstacles that I had to face were access to healthcare. And the fact that the laws were written in so disproportionately to favor the insurance companies.
Right.
I was like, that's, when you feel discrimination to your bones, you're like, that's not fair.
Right.
That's how I felt.
I feel you. I understand that.
During that time, there was a guy and a woman running for president. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton were running, and that was around 2008. That was my first year in college.
Okay.
And they were going to make healthcare both of them were saying out there, running on a pro healthcare platform, making sure that more people had access to healthcare. Right. And they said that they would make that part of their priority. And I was like, well, we need to make this happen.
Most definitely.
So that's how I got brought into politics, is because I've lived what it's like to need care and not have access to it. Right. I've lived what it's like to have an insurance. You need a medicine. We're not talking about luxury. We're not talking about fancy cars.
Sometimes we're talking about life or death.
We are often talking about life and death.
Okay.
So it's, we as a country, as a society, as people from the South, because I think people in the South, we're special. We're just people.
Yeah, we're people.
Right? We have to take care of our people.
That's right.
So I knew that I wanted to be in that fight to make sure that our people were taken care of.
Right. And the thing that sticks out to me is that I feel is your passion to make sure people get the care that they need. I remember I had a good friend of mine. He had cancer, and for a moment he couldn't get his medicine. Mm-hmm. And someone helped him, make sure that he got the health care that he needed to continue to get the help that he needed. You know what I'm saying? So it's just very, very important that we have affordable health care. So that's huge for me as well. So
yeah, and oftentimes people say, "Oh, Gabby, you're just a healthcare candidate. That's all you care about." And I always say, healthcare is so much more. If we want to talk about the economy, how are we going to get jobs here?
Right.
If we don't have working hospitals,
come on,
who's going to want to come here? We lead the country in hospital closures. So if someone gets hurt at work, where do they go? If someone has a baby, where do they go to have their baby if they don't have health care? Or, that's so important to make sure our future generations are doing well. If you're not healthy, how can you perform well at your job? And that impacts our economy.
Right.
How can you go to school and be trained and have the knowledge to be a working person and a contributing member of our society if you're not healthy? So important. It's so important. So it's much more than just healthcare.
Right.
It impacts our entire life.
And I most definitely understand that. Even with my I got another story for you. Even with my thank God you survived cancer. Even with my sister, one of my older sisters, she survived cancer as well. And if it weren't for healthcare, being able to get the help that she needed, she wouldn't be here. So thank God for St. Jude, because I had a goddaughter that got help from St. Jude when she was a child. And we're big here in Memphis Unheard. We are big on St. Jude. We donate to St. Jude. So shout out to St. Jude and all the work that they do, most definitely. So Yeah, let's talk about a little bit more how you got into politics and what was your drive. Who drove you? Who's that person that was like, hey, I want to be like that person. I want to be. You know what I'm saying? I want to help. I want to.
Yeah. So for me, it was more so getting into politics in once the Affordable Care Act passed. I was following that very closely, and the Supreme Court made a decision. Originally, Medicaid expansion was going to happen countrywide as part of the Affordable Care Act. The Supreme Court said that's unconstitutional, that the states should get to decide whether Medicaid expansion happens or not.
Wow.
And I knew we were in trouble back then.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh no, Tennessee is going to be a fight because they left it up to the governor. Mm-hmm. So at the time, it was Governor Haslam who was the governor here.
Okay.
And he was up for re-election, and there was a lot of campaigns trying to get him to make a decision on Medicaid expansion, and he didn't make a decision fast enough.
Okay.
And the state house and the representatives in the Senate and in the House decided that they were going to take the power away from the governor. That he wasn't allowed to make that decision alone. That it would be up to the House and the Senate to decide.
Right.
I was like, oh no. We went from one target to having 33 targets in that Senate and 99 targets in the House. I'm like, this is going to be a fight. Yeah. And I was going up to Nashville advocating for this all while this was happening. And I think I was in college or graduate school at the time, one of the two. And he ended up coming out, the governor came out in favor of it, and he called a special session for it.
Right.
And it didn't even make it out of committee. We didn't get a vote from the full Senate and the full House. They killed it in committee. And one of the persons that was leading the charge against Medicaid expansion was my state senator.
Wow.
And I knew that there was polling out there that said over 60% of Tennesseans wanted to see Medicaid expansion, Republican or Democrat. It didn't matter. At the time, we had a Republican county mayor. He came out in favor of it, and the county commission passed a resolution. They got 13-0 vote in favor of Medicaid expansion. The city also took a vote on it and passed unanimously. The mayor of Memphis was A.C. Horton at the time. He came out in favor of it. So I was like, all of us agree. Shelby County agrees. The entire county agrees. Mayors agree. The people. Why is this person, being against something that would benefit so many people? And that really motivated me and politicized me. I was like, well, he doesn't represent the interests of the people. So I decided to run against him the following election that he had. So
that was the referral. And
I wanted to make Medicaid expansion and healthcare access the prime platform in our campaign. So that's how I became interested and involved in local politics.
That's cool. Why is it so important to go out and to vote in this election coming up? A lot of people don't even know about it. A lot of people don't pay attention to it because around about this time, after going towards the 4 years, you have the president's election coming up in November, and but they forget about the importance of this election here. So why is it so important to go out and vote in this election as well?
Yeah, so a lot of people are looking to November, and November is going to be so important. We have to get out there and vote and support our Democratic nominee. But people forget that we have an August election.
Right.
August 1st.
Right.
Early voting is going on right now. But, sometimes people say, oftentimes they say, I don't do politics, or politics doesn't involve me, or that's not for me, or they're all the same. Those are the common things that I hear. But if you are driving in our streets, if you have kids in school, if you are buying anything in this city, we have sales tax. That's part of the state. The state gets to decide some of the sales tax stuff. We have the highest grocery tax in the entire country.
Most definitely.
So, who gets to decide all that stuff? It's the politicians.
Yep.
So these elections are going to happen whether you vote or not. So this is our opportunity to have a voice, to say we want to put someone in there that is looking out for us, that's going to prioritize our needs. And, ask those questions of the elected officials, hold them accountable. What are you doing about this grocery tax? What are you doing about wages? We hear so much about inflation, prices on things are going up, but the wages are not. Why can't we raise a minimum wage to make it a livable wage?
That's right.
The minimum wage hasn't been raised here in Tennessee in a really long time. So this is our opportunity to have a voice in what the future of our state looks like. And the decisions that are made at the local level. We have school board races happening right now too. So all of those decisions impact our daily lives much more than the presidential decisions. Right. Those impact us, but not as quickly and don't have as significant, they take time to get down to us.
Right, that is so true.
We passed the Affordable Care Act. Why doesn't people have health care in Tennessee? The working poor that could benefit from Medicaid expansion, because our state officials didn't pass it, right? Obama did his part. Now we need to do our part here in Tennessee. So, and it's been over 10 years that Affordable Care Act passed, and we still don't have it.
How does that? Right. How does that affect your community, the Latino community? How does that impact them?
Yeah, I don't. For me, it's been really hard to, make sense of all of this stuff, because I know it doesn't represent who we are as Memphians.
Right.
Memphis and Tennessee so welcoming to me when my family came. I didn't speak English when my family was going through everything that happened to us in that year span. And Memphis was like, I know, we got you.
Right.
We got you.
We have that hospitality. People try to,
And now seeing the laws that are being passed that do not represent how we are as people. Right. And it's because these people are getting in and sowing hate and sowing division, and they want to divide our communities. One of the bills that I'm specifically talking about is a bill that got passed that would allow Memphis police, any police department, to work with ICE. So ICE is federal. Yeah. So, and they're using the guise of, this is going to, safety is the big issue. I was like, yeah, we need to talk about safety. But they're using that to divide people and sow hate, because oftentimes the Latino community has been more so the victims of crime, and oftentimes, and I think the Black community is very similar. We don't report crimes,
right? Because
we're scared of the police.
Come on,
this doesn't help. This doesn't help. This does not make our community safer. It makes more people fear the police. So if we want to have a safer community where crimes are getting reported, where we're living, that passing laws like this do not get us there. And the fact that they're selling this as this is going to make our community safer, it is not. So seeing some of the bills that are being passed and that are being prioritized that are anti-immigrant. Recently, U.S. citizens that voted in the last election have been asked to prove citizenship because they're saying that they fraudulently voted in the election.
Right.
And, most naturalized citizens, we register usually the day we become citizens, because the election commission is at our citizenship ceremonies. That's when I registered.
Okay.
So as soon as I became a citizen, I signed my papers, I registered. Okay. That's how most naturalized citizens register to vote.
Right.
So to say that there are these this population of immigrants that are illegally voting in this election, in U.S. elections, or not, there hasn't been evidence of that, So these are targeted, prejudice-filled attacks.
Right.
And seeing that, especially knowing that it took me a long time to become a citizen, and seeing people trying to take that right away that we all as citizens have is hurtful, but also it puts into perspective why we need more people that represent our community, that look like our community, and that represent our values. When I became a citizen, I became a citizen through a bill that was sponsored by a Republican U.S. senator.
Okay.
So I know that there are Republicans out there that do care about immigration, that do care about stuff, that those are not the people that are in these positions right now. So we need to change that. And, if we want to address violence, if we want to, let's not divide our communities. Let's talk about making permit laws and not getting rid of gun permitting. Let's talk about not lowering the age to be able to buy a gun. Let's talk about background checks. Those are things that are, red flag laws. We can do this. We can do this without dividing people and spreading prejudice.
Right. And I guess let the people know how important it is to vote in this election, the Latino community, the Black and Brown community all together, just everybody, how important it is to vote in this gathering.
Yeah, it is muy importante, muy importante. Tenemos que demostrar que sí se puede. We have to show people that we can do this, because until we see it done, people are going to say that we can't do it. So we have to show people that sí se puede.
That's right. That's right. What made you run? What made Miss Gabby?
It's been just everything that I have been seeing, and our values not being represented at the state level. I have a big passion for our state. It's my turn to give back. It's my turn to make sure that our future generations are taken care of, that we have healthcare, that we have good performing schools, that we have safe communities, that people can live off a day's wage, that people aren't having to pick between buying their groceries and buying their medicines. All of that, like I said, to whom much is given, much is expected. I've been the benefactor of so much here in Memphis and in Tennessee, that I want to give back and take care of the community that took care of me.
Right, and that's so important. Not just for a moment, I want you to speak to the Venezuela community, the Latino community, just for a moment in your native tongue, and just share with them the importance of what you just said, and just tell them a little bit about you and why you're running. We're going to take this moment here in this portion just for you to speak to them, and just show the importance of it.
Yeah. Muchas personas de nuestra comunidad han tenido... Muchas personas de nuestra comunidad han luchado bastante para poder ser ciudadanos. Y el ser ciudadano es mucho más de vivir en este país y tomar beneficio de las cosas que nos ha brindado nuestro país adoptivo. Es también votar. El ser ciudadano es participar en las elecciones, participar como ciudadana y votar en el interés de nuestra comunidad. Hay hartas personas dentro de nuestra comunidad que no pueden votar, y nosotros tenemos la responsabilidad de votar por ellos y por todas las personas que no puedan votar, y votar en el interés de ellos.
What can we find your information?
Yeah, you can follow us on all social medias. It's Vote for Gabby. And then our website is voteforgabby.com.
Okay.
And 4 is spelled out FOR. So we're on there. We're in the home stretch.
Right. We're in the home stretch. What's the last day of early voting?
Yeah. So early voting is going on right now, which is the 23rd of July all the way through the 27th. And I think early voting is great because you can go anywhere. There are many polling places. If you want to find a polling place close to you, please visit shelbyvote.com. And so you can go vote anywhere. Take your friends, take your people, take your family, your neighbors, everybody. Yes. We went, my family always votes together. Right. So we went, all of us. There's a campaign within the Hispanic community that says, Mi familia vota, my family votes. So we participated in that. And that's cool. We've been doing that for a long time. We like to vote together, which there's 5 of us in my family. So sometimes it's a little crazy to coordinate, but get those schedules out, find time. It only takes, I think it took us less than 30 minutes. That's it. To go out and vote. And those are 30 minutes that you're investing in our future and in our people. So get out there and vote. Election day is August 1st. I know some of our voters, I always say there's 2 types of voters, the early voters and the people that love to vote at their home precinct. Right. That's where, I've talked to some voters like that. They're like, no, I don't go early vote. And I think it's part of the history of our city, people that want to vote in their neighborhood with their neighbors and stand in line and go on election day. And there is some excitement. So I understand that. And if that's you, election day is August 1st. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So be sure to get out there, and you can also find your polling precinct at shelbyvote.com for election day.
Hey, Ms. Gabby, question. What does all the areas does Tennessee House District 96 cover? Because I know, we have Memphis is pretty big, it's a circle, but what would be your area that it covers?
Yeah, so in 2020 we had a census, and so after the census, all the areas got redistricted. Okay. So don't be surprised if you go to the polls and you're in a different district than you were before. And we've only voted in these districts one time. Okay. So District 96 now covers Cordova, parts of Cordova, not all of Cordova. Okay. So parts of Cordova, parts of Raleigh, parts of Fraser, parts of Douglas, Klondike, Becca, and then Hind Park. Wow. So very long. Wow. Most of parts of North Memphis have some precinct in District 96.
Okay, sounds good. Be sure to go out and vote, you guys. Early voting is now. But the last day of voting
ends this Saturday, July 27th.
And then the day of
election day will be August 1st. But remember, you have to vote at your home precinct on election day.
On election day, guys. On election day, you have to vote at your home precinct. But right now, you can vote anywhere. You can vote absolutely anywhere. So we thank you, Ms. Gabby, for coming on. She's running for Tennessee House District 96. It's your guy. That's Ms. Gabby of Memphis Unheard. Peace. We out.